All right, welcoming in Gabe Cordova. How you doing, Gabe?
I'm doing well. How are you, Brian?
Pumped up, excited to see you here today. It's been a
Awesome.
while.
It has been a while. How you been? You just living the dream. Looks like you got all these amazing speakers giving some knowledge bombs.
Absolutely, it's been great. So, and you're one of them. So, thank you for joining us. I really
No
appreciate
problem.
it.
No
So,
problem.
Gabe is, for those of you who don't know, Gabe is the president of Firepoint. Is that still your role?
It is. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, anyway, Gabe is going to talk to us about making accountability your team's #1 secret weapon. And I am pumped up to hear this, Gabe. So I'm going to let you start off and we'll just dive into questions as you go throughout.
Yeah. I mean, and nothing sexier and more exciting to talk about than accountability.
Totally agree with that. I agree with that, but
Oh yeah, it's 100%. And what's crazy about it is I think everybody knows that they need accountability. And I think, and you got two different perspectives, right? It's accountability from the team lead aspect, then you got accountability as the team members. And I know we're live here, so I don't think we can actually ask questions and see stuff. But if you're listening to this, I want you to think about, when have you ever had a personal trainer? Have you wanted a personal trainer when it comes to just working out, and why? Have you had a real estate coach or thought about it? Right? It all comes back to accountability and having somebody, if we can't do that ourselves, really inspect what we expect as we're going through our business. So
one thing I like to say on that, Gabe, is positive accountability, right? I mean, if you think of working out, you basically tell somebody, these are my goals. This is what I want to accomplish. I want to get bigger, or I want to lose weight, or I want to, whatever it is that's going to make you that ultimate health fanatic. And it's the same thing in business. Do we, in real estate, do we have our agents and help them achieve their goals, or is it our goals we're focused on? And as soon as it becomes their goals and positive accountability and just helping them get to what they want to accomplish, completely changes the dynamic of all communication with that agent.
100%. And actually, one of my notes that I love talking about is it's not even so much accountability. And I think team leads and agents to kind of have that mental shift that it's really not as much accountability it is coaching and lifting it up, right? So as a team lead, if I'm in the CRM or I'm looking at my dashboards and CSU, whatever it is, and inspecting what I expect, it's everything that I'm saying is coming from the approach of wanting to coach my team up, right? We have a common goal: sell more homes with less handholding, less time for that work-life balance. So when I'm coming at to them versus like cracking the whip and beating them up, it's let's look at this as coaching and lifting up, right? And I love using the gym analogy just because when you think about a trainer, whether you've had one or not, they're not really beating you up as much as they're encouraging, one more rep or hang in there, you've got this, right? So I think we really need to look at it, and through coaching and positive reinforcement, you get accountability. And it's not just accountability that you're holding them to, but self-accountability. And that's really when the magic, I think, starts working, is when agents and team members, everybody has that common goal, and they're holding each other accountable. Is it, and I didn't know, I know I shot Zach over a form, or I don't know if I can share a screen, but I wanted to show because
you can share a screen. Go ahead. Share that screen. I'll turn it on here. For those of you who don't know, in addition to being president CEO of Firepoint, Gabe actually runs a team as well, or has a team. Not sure you run it on a daily basis, but he's speaking from experience here. So
yeah, I've been an agent, team lead, broker. I mean, any and all of the above at different points for almost the last 20 years, and really coming over to help build and run Firepoint last year, when I was really hands-on, we did over 800 sales that year. And this is a lot of stuff that we've implemented and even adjusted since then. So, I love talking from a point of, I get it, guys. Accountability is not easy. A lot of this isn't easy. And if it was easy, everybody would be doing it and be in that top, 2-3%, and they're not. But we can simplify it, right? And give you steps. You don't have to reinvent this. So I really,
if you want to share your screen, just bottom, you can hit share screen, and feel free to share that application. If you have multiple monitors, maybe share your other monitor.
Yep, we'll do here. So what I want to share with you guys coming up here is when it comes to accountability, coaching, whatever you want to call it, first thing is, I think I don't think you just have to set expectations, right? So, and I don't know if we know what our percentage is between individual agents and teams are on here, but this goes out for all of you, right? If you're on your own, what I'm going to share, look at this, have somebody hold you accountable, even if it's yourself, your spouse, right? If you're on a team, it's setting expectations. So I'm going to speak to a lot of the teams out there because that's just a majority of my experience is we can't just assume our team members are going to read our mind. We can't assume that they're going to remember everything that we talk about. So I think when you're hiring and onboarding somebody, first of all, you have to have some sort of expectation. So what I want to is share screen. You're sharing 2 monitors. Let's see here. And there it goes. Sorry, locked up on me there a second. All right. Can you see? Let's see. Here we go. Can you see that?
We've got your screen. Yep.
Perfect. All right. So we just append this to our, I think a lot of teams, and I emailed these to you guys, Brian. So if you guys want to share these out, feel free.
The link has been shared out to everybody now. So thank you, Gabe. Awesome.
Yeah. So this is our agreement, just setting expectations with everything. I mean, this goes through commissions, all of that. But what I want to focus on, and we just append this to the contract. And we got a lot of this from other people. Don Cordner did a lot of this and other agents. I know you just had Barry on. I mean, he's a genius. Everybody's willing to share in this industry. So find something that's close and then just customize it. But what I recommend is really going through and setting expectations, especially when it's coming to that lead gen, lead follow-up, because it's typically during the expectation side where we are falling down, where we're not doing it. So just literally put in here what you want them to do in the CRM, what happens during lead distribution, especially those of us that have, integrated and everything with Sisu. We've made this very easy so that they can go in and look at their numbers. But you definitely want to go through and have a conversation when they're onboarding. Right? Put this up. Have a copy of this in your meeting rooms, right? And we're virtual now, but make sure everybody has a copy of this so that when you're having those morning huddles, when you're doing things, you can just go through and say, hey, did we follow the lead follow-up procedures or not? Where did we fall apart? Did we follow the rule of 3? Everything that is set up that we're expecting them to do, let's have visible. They can save a file. I love it. Everybody just putting a hard copy of this and saving it, but it gives you something to go back to when you're having to talk to them about, why was this lead taken away or why did we have to reassign it? It's black and white. This is from day one. And then don't file it away. Reference back through what's going on during your weekly meetings, your call nights, everything like that. Use this as a living document in your business to help coach everyone up. Does that make sense? So you don't just file it away and you want to keep it going?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Know it. If you're the team lead, know it. Take that document that Brian and his team have shared out, make it your own, and go through it. But that's the biggest thing, I think, is setting those expectations and knowing what you want them to do, and everybody is on the same page. Right. I think another area where people go wrong is, and this is just a decision you have to make in your business plan, especially if you're running a team, is everybody following the same follow-up procedures? And to me, it's a little bit different on setting those expectations and accountability. Really think about the journey of the client, right? So I like to tell agents, it's not our journey, it's our buyers, it's our sellers, right? And not two lead sources are the same. So you really have to understand when you're sitting down, you're setting up your accountability, your follow-up procedures, sit down and think about where your business is coming from. How I'm going to hold my team accountable to follow up with somebody I met at an open house is different than somebody from Zillow versus Realtor.com versus PPC or Facebook, any of those, because you really have to focus where are they at in their journey, create that follow-up cadence. And then that's that living document. Are we holding everybody accountable or coaching them to that highest conversion for that particular lead source? And when you're coaching it up and they're seeing that conversion, I promise you the accountability follows it. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Oh, I think you're muted, Brian.
Oh yeah, I keep having phone calls come in and whatnot. I need to mute that out. So anyway, for those of you asking, are there links? Those are all posted. If you just look above in the comments, you'll see all of those links. So Gabe, thanks for sharing those out, and everybody, you have access to those in the comments.
Yeah, and I just actually got a message on Facebook. Rule of three, real quick. It's just a follow-up procedure we've done for years. I've also provided a link. I'll show you really quick. Also on that one. But that is really, it's just this book that we follow. It's on follow-up. And we literally give you step-by-step process in here. But basically what it is, it's the contact. And I think Barry was just talking about their follow-up, and I don't want to screw up what he said, but really it's that first 10 days are really important. It's similar to that. We go a little bit different. Again, find what works for you, but it's that 3 times a day for 3 days, 3 times a week for 3 weeks, 3 times a month for 3 months. Michael Hellickson and I have talked about this for years. It's a great way to stay in front of them. And we break it down really what it is and day by day for you guys. So again, we've also shared that with Brian and his team so that you guys can, put that to work for you. So, and it is all about then tracking those. What's great is that's a lot of touches. A lot of it is automated, but you're focusing on those first, 3 to 10 days, whatever it is, and then track those numbers, track those results. This is why I love about what you guys do, is because all of that automatically filters in to the dashboards and the follow-up cadences that you guys have that you want.
Awesome. So, you've talked a lot about, accountability with agents and lead follow-up. What other areas are important for you guys with accountability and positive accountability?
Yeah, I think it's, a big area where we fall down, and I don't even think this is unique to real estate, but is, we talk about accountability. First of all, I want to get away from that it's negative. It does not have to be discipline. It does not have to be negative. So other areas when it comes to accountability is celebrate those wins, right? You need to have a way as a team, you guys are announcing the wins, whether it's, pending contracts, new deals coming in, because if it's always about following, did you follow up the follow-up procedures? Did you not do them? Did you not do them? That gets old. And again, that's what brings in that negativity when it comes to accountability. But you need to be able to, something just got knocked over.
What was that?
I think a dog knocked something over in the other room.
Oh, wow.
Crash live webinars. So anyway, so focus on those wins as well, because otherwise it's always going to come back to that negative side. So and one of those things to do, I don't want to keep sharing screens, but when it comes to accountability, we're talking a lot about phone calls. I know you've got people as far as don't be afraid of these. We got to make the phone calls. Share those with everybody. If you guys have got scripting, whatever it is, in your team huddles and everything, don't just make it about the list and everything. Let's have some interaction. Let's listen to phone calls. Your technology should be recording all of your phone calls for you. Get in there and literally listen to those calls. And we're talking the good with the ones that need coaching and improvement. So it's not just about how many touches and looking at that, but let's listen. How did somebody overcome objection? How did somebody not overcome it? All of this is built into your tools and systems. So just utilize that, leverage it, and share it with the team, right? And make it visible. Here's the other thing too, is I think teams feel not just the checklist, but what's going on. So your dashboards, and for those who haven't seen them, I don't know if you have one to share, but you should have these dashboards up from Sisu on the board. What is everybody doing? How many calls? What is our goal? Where are we trying to get to? Have those visible. Have them, if you're doing Zoom meetings right now and you're not in person, that's fine. Have that pulled up and have that shared while you're talking. It doesn't have to be, you and these big screens like we have right now. Have up all the numbers of stats of, yes, thank you, right? We can have a great team meeting in the morning just like this. What is our close volume? Where are we at? Are we on pace, right? You can break this down per company. You can break this down by agent. Share that visibility with everybody, because whether, agents don't like to lose. Agents are competitive. So when you can go through this and not just talking about it, literally show your dashboards what you guys are doing. I mean, and you guys have packaged this beautifully, right? So everybody can easily see what's going on. Am I on pace? Am I not on pace? Where do we need to step in? And then again, what starts happening without even trying is our fun accountability that we're all dreading and don't really want to do turns into really we're just checking in, and everybody is coaching and lifting each other up. So other areas to focus in, share the wins and successes through the means that we're using, right? So Barry, again, right before we came on, talks about air, land, and sea. We're hitting them from all areas. The same thing, but don't hide that, right? If you're doing postcards, somebody has great success, show what happened, show it. If there's a great phone call where somebody overcame an objection of, they already have an agent but no signed buyer's rep, and they won them over, or they set an appointment, whatever it is, play those, share those, right? Don't keep everything hidden behind the scenes because you think accountability just has to be, one-on-one. Share all of that, the calls, when you send a mass email, somebody gets a great open rate, share that. Show what is happening, share it with the team, and then share the results. Man, that dashboard is money. And there's so many teams that I've spoken to when I've asked them, do you guys have this up in every one of your stand-up huddles and all? They're like, well, no, the company one really, I just look at it as the team lead. Hell no, share that. That needs to be visible to everybody. That should be part of the culture that you're fostering, is the fact that we don't have anything to hide here, right? If you're building your team the right way, there's enough lead, enough opportunity, everything to go around. Share what's going on, and they start seeing that success. The other thing, when you're looking at that every single day, you don't have these surprises. How does, Susie, have 10 times the contracts of Bob and so on? If you're watching it every day, you don't really all of a sudden realize there's this huge gap. You're seeing them slowly pull away, and there can be focus on that, right? And then the team can be like, all right, Bob, you're behind everybody else. What can we do? You dive in. Is it the calls? Is it the emails? You just need to make it visible to the entire team. Share that. Don't hide it to yourself and then just show it one-on-one when somebody's falling behind.
Yeah. So my opinion of this, and I actually still hold a few agents accountable on my wife's team, but my opinion of this, Gabe, is you should never have a team meeting, or you should never have a one-on-one, which you should have every week, but you should never have a one-on-one where you don't have their dashboards in front of them. You need to have their conversion ratios. You need to know their numbers. By having that, you're having an intelligent decision about where they can strengthen their skills.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, you're really managing emotion. A one-on-one becomes all about why they aren't having success. And it usually ends up diving into some of their personal issues, which is not something you ever want to do as a team leader.
100%. 100%. I'm going to add to that, though. So on that one-on-one and having the dashboard, I just want to make sure people are hearing, though, I personally, and everybody does this differently, that one-on-one doesn't just also have to be that agent's dashboard. Hopefully you're fostering a culture to where if somebody's struggling, and we know this, right? If somebody's struggling, it's some of the metrics, right? More than likely, they're probably not just putting in the phone call somebody else is. It's a numbers game. We see it over and over and over. So when you're not just talking to something that's not achievable. Show somebody on the team who's doing it. And another great tool, again, this comes down to culture on your team. But as a team lead, when it comes to accountability, it shouldn't just be me all day long, harping. You can go to some of your rock stars. And again, this comes down to culture, but go to one of your top agents and ask them, hey, next week, I've had 4 or 5, one-on-ones with Brian, and he's just, he's just not getting up there, and we've done it. Would you mind doing a couple of the one-on-ones? I'd love for him to be able to talk to you and what's going. Let them also talk to their peers. You should have some of your top agents and help them, whether it's a better commission split or whatever that is, or a percentage of that agents if they increase, but leverage your team on that ability. It's not just you, that affects everybody. So if James, my top agent, and Brian, you're struggling a little bit, we've had a couple one-on-ones and I'm seeing some effort there, bring in that top agent, let them do 1 or 2 of the one-on-ones, and I'll tell the top agent, hey, you help get Brian up, I'm going to give you 10%, of the company's dollar on those. But let them also talk to agents who are doing it, because it's a nice change, first of all, but it's also really nice for that agent to talk to another agent who's actually doing it, that's talking to them, not from somebody who's maybe more behind the desk and not in the business as much as that other person. So leverage that team as well on some of those one-on-ones. It doesn't always have to be you.
Gabe, I think that's such a great point, is to make sure that you are not always the person holding someone accountable. And the way to do that, there are several ways to do it. Gabe just talked about one: bring another agent in, maybe have them be a mentor, maybe give them 5% of their first 5 transactions or whatever. There's opportunities there.
Yeah.
In addition to that, there are opportunities to do things like create sales challenges amongst your team and have half your team compete against the other half. Well, the minute you do that, you have everybody on each of those teams holding each other accountable because nobody wants to lose. And so rather than everything coming from Gabe holding his team accountable, he's got agents pushing each other and holding them accountable. And so I just, there's so many ways to do that, but that culture of accountability should flow not just between you and your agent, but among the entire organization.
100%, because when you have that culture and that's happening, they realize by lifting, I'm just going to keep using you as a struggling agent, Brian. By lifting Brian up and getting Brian doing, the same or at least close to, that fuels the ability for, additional leads or maybe more of those more expensive leads that come in that convert faster. You have to have this mix, but everybody realizes that by building up the team and getting more sales, it benefits everybody. So it's not even just that, that extra percentage that other agent's going to get. It's also bettering everything because as a team lead, we're paying for all of our tools, CSU, all that stuff. So that we can have that gamification. And I had 2 points left. Gamification was one of them. And you guys do a great job of this. And when you're dividing up your team to do that, where I've seen it really, really successful is, divvy it up to where you either seniority or by production. So you have a mix of new experience, high producers, low producers, because they help lift each other up. Right. And it really brings it in. And you guys do a great job of displaying gamification. So
do you guys have any personal experiences with your team, Gabe, on sales contests that have just taken things over the top for you?
Yeah, we're changing up a little bit how I think we're going to go forward, just with as industry changes and they're not together as much on the call nights and things like that. So we've had great results when we've done trips to Mexico, right? If you sell so much in volume, or if the company generated business, we'll take you to Mexico, things like that. So we're kind of rethinking how we're going to do that in the state that we're living now, but. It's always been something exciting to look forward to. And I think you don't have to go that grand. Start small, right? It can be drinks, it can be happy hour, whatever it is. I mean, it can be, we'll pay for Disney Plus and Postmates for a month. Like there's fun things you can do right now, especially if you're growing and scaling up.
Yeah, I've seen it really doesn't matter as much what the reward is, as much as getting a competition going. And I recommend doing them frequently, like monthly, maybe, where every month you have a new competition so that you have new atmosphere, how do you get people? We talk about these quarterly years in real estate. And the reason you want to do this quarterly year is so you can start strong and you can end the quarter strong.
Yep.
It's the same thing with your month. How do you get it so you start the month strong and end the month strong? And this will make a significant difference in your ability to do that if you'll run these on a monthly basis.
Yeah, so I think it's twofold on that. I think you're right. There's monthly, quarterly, and then annual, right? Because you're going to have people joining your team that come in and they need to find like they have a fighting chance, right? So you have these shorter, smaller contests. Then you go through quarterly and then your annual ones, right? So you always want somebody to feel like they've got a chance, right? So if you just do an annual, you can get 6 months in and it's like, oh, well, there's no way I'm going to catch this person. There's no way I'm going to hit this if it's an individual measured one. So it kind of gives up. So those shorter goals, those shorter steps, use those to get to the end one when it comes to those contests, right? So just make sure that you've thought it through, that the monthly challenges that then go into quarterly, when you add those together, it makes that annual contest achievable. And it actually makes it easier to come up with it. And the other thing on that too is include your team. I keep coming back to this. It doesn't have to be you coming up with the contest and the ideas. Include the team. Help them set the bar as well, right? Because it's also a lot easier to hold somebody accountable to their own numbers. And okay, if you're an agent on a team, plug your ears right now. I'm going to give them a second. Speaking of the team leads, include your team on this. They will set the bar higher for themselves probably than you would, right? Yeah. And it's so much easier to hold somebody accountable or coach them up to their own expectations and numbers than yours. So that really, really helps a lot.
Yeah, I think that is really the key with positive accountability. It's not about your numbers as a team owner. It's not about displaying your team dashboard. It's about figuring out what the agent wants, the same way you figure out what your client wants. Figure out what your agent wants and do everything you can to get them there. And
what's their
do
why?
anything to get them there if you don't understand their numbers, if you don't understand their weaknesses, you don't understand their conversion ratios. You've got to know their activities and know where they're failing and where they're having successes.
100%. If you just go into it and like, here are my goals as the team lead and what I want to get everybody to, it makes it really hard, right? Get to know your team members. This becomes a culture somewhat of a family, and get to know their why. All right. So if you're a team lead listening to this right now, look at the members on your team. Do you know them? Do you understand why they're doing this? What is their why for getting up and hitting that? Not to hurt your ego, but it's not to make you the team lead more money. They may know and love you, but that's not their why. That's not what's filling their bucket every single day, right? So, when you understand that why, that helps you then understand them and then coach them up to their numbers. Don't overthink this and make this all about, okay, I've just got to be a hard ass and crack the whip and beat people up every day. That is the wrong approach to accountability. Coach them up. Coach them up to the numbers that they're setting.
I'm so glad you brought up the why. I think most of us now know who Simon Sinek is. Who really got us all to be aware of the why maybe 10 years ago.
Start with why.
Start with why. I want to add to that though, because understanding what your agent's why is, there's more to that. It's not just why are you doing this? It might be for my family. It may be to prove a point. It may be whatever it is. But understand not only their why, but where it is they want to be in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years. And if you can make your role helping them get there, which what I love is when people help build teams within their team, because you may have someone who wants to go build a team. They don't necessarily want to have that $100,000 expense every month. Right. So if they can leverage some of your expenses and build a team where they just have different overrides, 100%. That's a win-win for both of you. So find out what it is they want to accomplish and help them get there. That is your number one thing as a leader, really.
I love that you brought that up, because I think everybody, if they're really honest with themselves, one of their biggest fears about building a team is, well, I'm just going to teach somebody how to do this who is my competition, then they're going to leave me. Or if you talk to a lot of team leads, they're like, the turnover on my team is terrible. And I've been there. I'll be the first to admit, man, it sucked. You would just build them. And then it seemed like your rock stars were leaving. And I believe that was my fault. We didn't understand enough that that's okay. But let's if you build the right environment and foster them and grow, hopefully they're building that still within your umbrella, right? You can still manage to bring that all together and build them up. And let's be honest with each other. It's going to happen, right? If you're going to have somebody on your team, they're going to build up and they're going to leave you at some point. And I would say, look at it this way. If you built somebody up and they were able to do that, you guys probably had a great journey together. Now they're able to do this on their own. If it happens, which I hope it doesn't, but it's going to, we are still bettering our industry, right? We are building people up. I think you always want to leave people better than you found them. So the fear of people leaving your team, either whether it's through accountability or them becoming successful, don't let that hold you back. Build the right culture of coaching, accountability through coaching. You're going to have a massive team of successful people who don't want to take on the responsibility, the liability of all the expenses and everything that we're doing. And just know that you're bettering everybody's lives through that process of coaching and accountability.
Great. Ricky Kane just made a comment. It's also good for team members to openly share their whys with the team. And Ricky, I think it's a great point. One of the reasons that that's so important is a lot of team members don't have a why. And if they can see and experience somebody else's why, sometimes that will allow them to discover their own. Because discovering a why, if you don't have a why, then it's really tough to be successful at anything.
Agree. We did a whole exercise. I know you got to wrap it up here. We did a whole exercise where everybody, it was almost like a vision board type thing, but they basically put their why and things in their own words on it. We just put that up in our conference room. And I know a lot of people don't have space right now or going in, but again, those are things you can share into your huddles, take turns sharing people's whys, why they're there.
Awesome. Gabe, thank you so much for joining us today. Always love spending time with you. It's been too long. So great having you at the summit today. If you guys have any questions for Gabe, feel free, drop them in here. There's a lot of chat going on here. Also, we have Greg Harrelson joining us here in just a minute. He's not in here for just quite yet. So give us just a minute. We'll take maybe a 2-minute break until Greg gets back, and we'll see you all then. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.